Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do for a living.
My name is Seth Goldstein. I live in New York City and I sell masa chips. So I'm a co-founder of Ancient Crunch, which we have a vision to be the platform business for seed oil-free crunchy carbs.
Awesome. So what inspired you to start this business?
Yeah, I was in Miami with my now business partner about 2.5 years ago, and I am hungover eating Tostitos, and he comes in and he's like, dude, what the fuck? That's not food. And I think he's making fun of me for eating tortilla chips because I have no idea what a seed oil is. I had kind of heard of vegetable oils, and vegetables sounded good for you, so like that wasn't even on the radar. And I think he's making fun of me for eating junk food. We started having a conversation about it, and it turns into a conversation about seed oils, which are oils that come from seeds. All the things that you have no idea how to make, right? Like, what is a canola oil? No one knows. And I was working in private equity at the time, and I told him, like, you're probably right? Like you've spent time and energy looking into the stuff. I have not, but I work 90 hours a week in private equity. I don't have time to care. Like if I can't get it on Fresh Direct or whatever, it's just not relevant. And so that turned into the conversation everyone's had 1,000 times of like, oh, we should start a business. So my mind was kind of like a cute, funny New Year's trip joke. In his mind, it was, let's start a business. So he got a recipe pulled together. He decided that beef tallow was the ideal fat for frying tortilla chips in. He found tortillas that were nixtamalized, which allows the corn to get like pre-digested effectively. They're organic, everything kind of like done right. And he made a batch and he sends me some product. He's like, this stuff is awesome. You should try it. This is the thing. And I say, cool, but it has to be pretty. It has to have shelf appeal. It has to be like a brand and not just a product. So I looped in a designer I'd worked with on a couple other projects, and Masa was born summer 22, basically. That first month, we put a bunch of inventory on Instagram, sold out immediately. I was like, cool, didn't expect that. Made some more, sold some more. He quit his job. I quit mine a little while after. And we've been doing it full time for pretty much 2 years to the day. So our 2-year anniversary will be July 19th in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's exciting. Congratulations on almost 2 years. So
Thank you.
In terms of, so you started essentially like on Instagram. So were you just like running ads, or how did you get those first few customers?
No, so Steven at the time had been basically a micro influencer. He had, 50, 100,000 followers, and they were following him mostly for seed oil content. And so when he launched a seed oil free tortilla chip, that was a pretty natural fit, and we started selling into his audience. We're actually, funny enough, really proud that we got to, whatever size we did with basically zero ad spend.
Wow.
And that was, maybe that was a million run rate or something. And we were really proud to have gotten that far with zero ad spend. In hindsight, I wish we had understood the power of ad spend and started growing much faster, much earlier, because we'd be way bigger today. But the lessons you learn in a startup. So we probably didn't do any ad spend until early 2023 when we were at $1 million or $2 million in run rate. And then when we figured out ads, the business really took off because ads work.
So is your business today still mostly D2C, or are you mostly in retail, Amazon?
Mostly D2C. So we do probably 10% retail, 10% Amazon, 80% Shopify.
Oh, wow. It's like, I guess, like, what is your vision? Like, do you want to continue to grow and be more of like a D2C brand, or do you
We're
want
going to be a grocery business for sure. I mean, just think about where people buy chips. They buy them in grocery stores in person. And so, there's a decent business to build on D2C. I think we could get to 100 million run rate in D2C only if we wanted to.
Right.
The $5 billion business is on shelf grocery where people buy food.
So as of now, right, are you mostly in convenience stores or certain grocery stores? Where can people typically find you, in terms of retail?
We're in high-end grocery. So we're in Erewhon, where we're the number one SKU and brand. So we crush Siete at Erewhon, which is our competitor. We are similar story at Cinderella in New York. And then we're in a handful of like smaller local mom and pop high-end boutique kind of places. We're also in Fontainebleau in Miami. And if anyone listening has a favorite store that we should be in, please let us know, and we're happy to get on shelf.
Well, I'm in Austin, Texas. So are you here in Texas at all or not yet?
We might have a couple of spots in Texas. I don't actually have the list, frankly. Like, there's a guy on my team who owns that. So part of the story we've heard about Texas is that you guys have so many tortilla chip options and like have such a high standard for what a good tortilla chip is. It's actually pretty hard to be competitive. We're gonna find out. Like we will try and see how we do. But yeah, part of the story we've heard is that tortilla chips in Texas is a crazy market. So we'll see.
So do you see yourselves more, like you mentioned, high-end groceries? Is that kind of where you see yourself more like a Whole Foods, or do you see yourself being in general grocery stores, convenience stores? Like, where do you really want to see people buying your products?
Yeah, over time, we'll end up in Kroger, Target. In the next 3 years, probably, we're going to mostly be D2C and small high-end grocery. In late 2025 or early 2026, when we have the capacity, because it takes time to build. I mean, you can talk about production, which has been a huge story. When we are big enough to be able to supply Whole Foods or Sprouts, we're going to go in there. That's likely the end of 25 or early 26. And then we'll try to stay in like high-end national grocery, so Whole Foods, Sprouts, Fresh Market, Wegmans. And then once we've kind of saturated that, we'll probably try out Target, Kroger, and eventually Walmart, right? So like go kind of culturally downstream through from highly curated, specific, all the way down to mass market access.
For sure. So I'm curious more about like, it's like I'm really impressed that you guys have grown that much in D2C, because typically chips are, like as you said, not a product for D2C, but you've really scaled that up. So
Yep.
what have you done specifically besides obviously I'm one of your founders being an influencer in the space, but
Yep.
is there something specific? Do you guys have a higher AOV or minimum orders? Like how do you really push that channel?
So, in my opinion, people try to game D2C too much. The most important thing is to have a product so good that people will come back and buy more of it. You can fuck with AOV, you can screw around with your CAC, whatever. And I've seen businesses that are really nicely profitable in first order, but they have no repeat. And so you're just kind of cycling marketing spend through.
Mhm.
If your product is so good that people will give you $10,000 over the course of their life to continue consuming it, D2C can work. If your product is not that, D2C is brutal, as is everything else.
Yeah.
So the deep dark secret of CPG is make something people love and want to keep buying forever. And if you do that, kind of any channel will end up working for you, because wherever people can get it, when you're going shopping and you're looking at the 85 options for chips, why do you pick up any one? Because you know you like it a lot and you're going to buy it again. And so it's really about creating a product so good that people do preference you over alternatives. And whenever you're put in front of them, they're like, yeah, I do like the product. I'm gonna get it again.
For sure. So in terms of manufacturing and shipping, what does that look like for your business?
Huge pain, which I think will become a powerful mode for us. And we're already seeing the first signs of it, which is really cool. But I don't know what the audience, how familiar they are with D2C and food and everything, but just in case, typically the food brand you're interacting with is not a manufacturing brand. So they are a marketing business and they have a manufacturer behind them who they buy money from. We wanted to do that. So we wanted to find a manufacturing partner who would do all of the super painful stuff involved with actually manufacturing product and just do marketing. We couldn't find anybody. Part of the reason for that is that manufacturing in the United States is basically entirely on seed oils, and you can kind of get away with doing like avocado if you want. Olive oil smokes at too low of a point, so it's not really viable for frying. And coconut oil, I know Jackson's tried that, and because it was saturated, they had a huge issue, and it was solid room temperature and wouldn't work. So if you want to do co-manufacturing on fried carbs today, you're either using seed oils, which is totally against the point of the business, or avocado oil, which you see a few brands doing that now, and that's an option. For beef tallow, we got told that's really cute and interesting. Absolutely not. By about 200 manufacturers. So we spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money trying to find a co-manufacturer we could work with. We got 200 rejections. We had one guy who thought he could do it. That deal turned into us buying machines for him to run at his recommendation. Not a bad guy, but it was not a good setup. We now own 300 grand worth of fryers that are actually not viable, and they're trash from not the US. So lots of pain and trying to find a manufacturer to take that off of our plate. We've landed on just doing it ourselves. So today we have a facility in New Jersey with about 25 employees working 40 hours a week. We have literally donut fryers. So if you can imagine like a French fry fryer at McDonald's, we have basically that. We are hand bagging chips. We're hand salting them. I mean, it is the version of a kitchen you would have made when you were 18 in high school with like your summer project. We have that basically with a couple more machines, but like not much. That is going to be replaced with the new line of machines that we bought in Q4. So we bought in October or November. Those should land next month, which will grow our capacity tremendously. And then we're currently planning our next factory, and that's going to open probably early 2026. And so that's when we're going to be able to do 20 million units per year and really crank out like a national brand.
So are you also doing white labeling, or is this, are
We're not.
you, okay,
Yeah. So we've had outreach from competitors basically saying, can you make my product too? Because we're the only manufacturer in the country effectively. I think there's like two that I'm vaguely aware of, and I think it's basically guys in their garage working 8 hours a week. So not real production.
right.
So we're the only manufacturing that I'm aware of in the country. We've had competitors reach out, ask if we'll white label, and we say no because the moat is enjoyable.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for sure. If you do white labeling, then people might have the secret sauce, and it's just kind of
But
like
also it
this
gives them
is
the traction to then keep going, right? And so
right.
you
Exactly.
get some margin up front where you're getting utilization of the machines and all that kind of stuff. But if I'm gonna support another brand to get them to 5 or 10 million run rate, and then they raise a bunch of money and kick my ass, that sucks. Like,
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. So is your vision like, do you want to make more products? Like, what do you really like? Obviously, like expanding into retail more, but like, are
yeah.
you thinking about that, or like other,
So we
flavors
have
or
probably three dimensions for the portfolio from a product portfolio perspective. One is the core brand. So masa is a tortilla chip. We have
right?
slicing and we have flavors. So we have a 2 ounce to 5 ounce. We're going to launch a 10 or 12 ounce later this year. We have original, lime, spicy, blue, churro. We'll keep launching more. That's part of the core set. We're then going to multiply that matrix across different core products. So we're going to have a new brand launching in about 2 weeks for the potato chip. We're planning to launch it on our 2 year anniversary because it's cute. And that'll be a potato chip fried in beef tallow with a totally new brand. That brand is called Vandy. And the front is a wrought iron gate in gold with a kind of forest green background. So we think that is a very nice aesthetic, which we're really pleased with. And we're gonna just kind of go through the Frito-Lay portfolio and say these things work. People want, potato chips, they want tortilla chips, they want cheese crackers, etc. Make a much better version of it, seed oil-free, super high quality fat, super high quality grain or carb, and then brand it beautifully, make sure the recipe is perfect, and kind of roll it out.
Hey y'all, it's Dan Melnick, the CEO of Zing, and I wanted to share a special offer for all of our listeners. Right now, if you need software development services, we'll give you 2 weeks of a free trial. Do you need to update your website? Do you want to build a mobile app? Do you want to update something that you've been working on for a long time? We've worked in a high-level technologies like AI, machine learning, blockchain. So shoot me a text, 817-874-2208. Thank you.
For sure. So obviously now many companies are using high level technology like AI. So do you guys currently use AI? And if not, like, what do you
No.
think they can give you more value? Like, is there somewhere you think they can give you more value at all? Or
We're not an AI company. If an investor is going to give me a better valuation, if I pretend I'm an AI company, I'm happy to pat them on the head and say, of course.
right,
But we're a food company. We sell food. I think the core cost for me is I need to go manufacture and distribute product. I don't think
right.
AI plays a meaningful role in that. There might be something when you're at the scale of a Coca-Cola or Pepsi where logistics, is
Yeah, like for customer service or even like day-to-day operations, things like that.
yeah, we have someone on customer service we're really happy with. She's not too expensive and she does a great job.
Right,
I could save a couple grand a month or whatever, but like AI is not a big story for us today.
right,
AI could be the places where AI could be helpful. We have a designer who's great. And so if I could prompt an AI generator to make memes or whatever for ads, that might save a little bit. If there's like smarter email strategies that could be developed by AI, that might be helpful. But
right.
at the end of the day, I think for CPG, it's really about developing a product that people really, really like and then getting it in front of them to try it, and then they'll keep buying it. And as long as
Right.
there are reasonable mechanisms to buy it again, like you send them an email saying, "Hey, do you like nachos?" Great. It's not that complicated.
Right,
Um,
right.
the emails, texts, like quick reminders for that latent demand for people who like do like the product and kind of forget about you takes care of most of the repeat spend. And as long as you develop and deliver a product that people just love, you're fine.
What would you say is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew before you started this business?
I have a few, so I'm gonna
Go
cheat.
for it.
One, there are, I would say, two stages as a founder for you, like fundamentally to worry about. The first is figuring out, do you have a business? And what it means to have a business is you have a repeatable unit economic that you can go scale to infinity. What that looks like for food is I can sell you one unit of product and you're going to keep buying a bunch from me. So repeat spend, again, is the core story. Once you have proven that, your job is to scale to the next stage as fast as you fucking can. So we knew we had a business 6 months in, like repeat
Right.
spend was there. And to my comment earlier about marketing earlier, we should have spent a ton more on marketing. We should have grown way faster. We should have, this year we'll do probably 10, 12 million bucks in revenue. We could have done like 30 if I understood this better a year ago.
Right.
We just didn't. And so
Mhm.
Dan McCormick, I don't know if you've had Dan from Create on here yet, but he's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm a huge fan. He understood this from day one, and
Right.
Create is now a 25 million run rate business 18 months in.
Right.
We have very similar numbers. I could have been that size 6 months ago,
Right.
but we didn't understand scaling properly. So we're not.
Right.
So that's probably the first thing is figure out if you have a business. And we want to figure that out really quickly.
Right.
I've met people who are not really testing that. They're just trying to grow top line.
Right.
And I looked at their numbers 18, 24, 30 months in, and I'll tell them, like, you're fucked. Like, this business isn't good. You've wasted 2 years of your life and millions of dollars, and it's not salvageable. And that's a really painful, awful conversation to have
Right.
2 months in that you could have had 3 or 6 months in,
Right.
but they're not, relating to their business properly. And so they'd rather delay failure than admit it. And so it's really to end the ramble, figure out if you have a business, which is that high repeat spend. And then once you know that you have a business, take money in, scale manufacturing, production, scale marketing, and just fucking grow as fast as you can. And just blitz to, 100 million, 50 million, whatever the right scale is for your business if you want to exit or continue growing. The second thing that comes to mind is that an organization, like what you get paid for as a founder or executive is really by the universe, not by, your employer, is understanding what is worth doing and making sure that it happens. You are
Right.
not paid for doing things. So there are a ton of things that Steven and I have now hired out to our team, and they crush it and they do a great job that we should have hired out even earlier.
Right.
It is a total mistake, in my opinion, to do things longer than it takes to learn how to do them so that you're able to manage them effectively. Your fundamental job as a founder is to hold the vision of where are we going and driving that into all of the function in your organization to make sure things are occurring. But your job is not to like fill out Excel sheets and, it's like sometimes you have to, absolutely.
Right. Right.
But when you have a chunk of work that you're doing on a recurring basis, you need to delegate that down and get your time back so that you can stay focused on your actual job, which is figuring out what to do to make sure it's happening. And yeah, that's plenty. I've rambled.
So if we're going to have this conversation again in 1 year
Yeah.
from now, where do you see things going for your business?
Yeah, 1 year from now, we should still not have the new factory open yet. We should have our new machines running with a night shift running, and we'll have gone through a really fun journey where we go from sold out today to what the fuck, I have way too many chips. I don't know where to put them to being sold out again. So we're going to go through that sine wave, which will be a joy. We should be profitable by a little bit, not by much, but making, low six figures a month or something. And in conversations with major national retailers like Whole Foods and Sprouts, but telling them no because we don't have supply. Vandy should also be out. So I'll have about 1 year worth of data on how Vandy's performed, which for us is like a vanity metric, feels kind of cool. But more importantly, we've been pitching to our investors, but more importantly to ourselves, that we're a platform business and that we can launch these new brands with a shared core philosophy. If we can do that, that totally changes what Ancient Crunch as a corporation can be. And so we're really eager and excited about getting our second brand out and proving that there's a platform here, that people really don't want seed oils in their food, and that if you can provide them a beautifully branded, beautifully made, beautifully ingrediented product that works, and we can scale out to a huge portfolio of 5, 10, 20 brands. And some of them will flop, some of them will be huge, but being able to prove that we can run that kind of business is really exciting.
Awesome. So if somebody watching this wanted to reach out to you, do you mind sharing your website or social media? I guess best ways to get in contact.
Yeah. So our Instagram is masa_chips. And I assume there'll be a bio kind of thing under the video that people click into. But at masa, MASA _chips. And then my personal email is Seth SETH at ancientcrunch.com. So feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Well, Seth, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. Thank you. All right. Bye.